Hey, shalom everyone, this is Chris Shoemaker, also known as Yehuda Ben Shomer, and welcome to the Raw Confessionals. Today I want to confess to you that I myself, in the past, have been duped by religious con men. I don't want anyone out there to feel stupid or to feel like they're alone or like that they're an oddity because they got sucked in by some sort of religious con man, whether in Protestant Christendom, whether on the cultic fringe groups of Christianity, or within Messianic Netzari or Hebrew roots Judaism. I'm telling you, it happens, and it's easy. And to be perfectly blunt, frank, and honest with you, I set myself up to be taken by religious con men. Not that I set out uh, to have myself be caught up in some religious pyramid scheme, so to speak. Not that I desired to be taken for a ride. I didn't. But let me tell you from my perspective of why I got duped by religious con men, why I got sucked in, why I ignored and didn't see the red flags and hear the warning sirens, and why I got duped by religious con men. Okay, it all goes back to my time in Bible college, where it was kind of mid-semester of my senior year. I'm a newly married student, and my wife and I are commuting to Bible college, and I just felt a million miles away from God. I was being the best Christian I could possibly be. I mean, heck, I was going to Bible college to major in Bible and missions. I wanted to be a minister. I wanted to be a missionary, and I didn't want to be a cookie cutter Free Will Baptist or a cookie cutter Christian. I wanted to be on the edge. I wanted to be who God created me to be, and I wanted to, be out there on the cutting edge of modern day ministry. And I was thinking to myself, God, why do I feel this way? Like, why do you feel a million miles away? I know it's usually a sin that puts a wedge between our relationship, but I can't think of anything that I've done, to set us at variance with each other. So what's up, God? And one of those rare times where God's voice was practically audible in my spirit, and he told me to get back to the first century. And just like he repeated himself with Samuel and Abraham and other patriarchs, he repeated this message 3 times to me. Get back to the first century. I didn't fully understand or know what it meant at that time, but I thought, okay, first century believers. I started studying the first century believers, discovered that the first century believers were all Jewish, that they did not form a new religion called Christianity, that they practiced Judaism, a fulfilled version of Judaism. And I was just blown away that the law has not been done away with, that they were Torah obedient and Torah observant, that they respected the customs and traditions of the elders of Judaism. And I was just blown away by this, and I just felt drawn and called to this. And later on, I just discovered some Hebraic lineage within my own within my own family line. So that kind of set me on the path of where I am today and the ministry that I'm in today. But once I had that revelation, I automatically wanted fellowship. I automatically wanted to join myself with a group of like-minded people and like-minded believers that had the same kind of experience, the same kind of revelation, who saw things pretty much the same way I did, who got the same message and revelatory message that I did. About Messianic Judaism and about, the Torah is still relevant and applicable for believers today, that it has not been nailed to the cross or done away with. So, as I was hungering for this, I ran into people who I thought could fit that bill. I ran into an individual who claimed to be a rabbi, who claimed to have, a Jewish background and a Jewish lineage. I never really did doubt his Jewishness per se, but I noticed that he was one of these guys who really didn't have any elders over him, that he didn't really have any accountability, that he wasn't a part of any denomination or sect, that the ordination as a Messianic rabbi was not even from a Messianic organization, that it was from another guy who had his own ministry, and I didn't really know this guy. He wasn't well known, or he didn't have a big ministry, and I just didn't know this guy from a hole in the ground. So, but I was so hungry for fellowship, so hungry and thirsty for knowledge. I thought, wow, this guy's Jewish. This guy's a rabbi. He says he's a rabbi. He's got a paper saying he's a rabbi. I'm going to attach myself to this guy, you know, and he just took me under his wing. I was like a little brother to him. He began showing me the ropes and teaching me. He had his own kind of mom and pop ministry. Uh, you know, he uh, he told me that he wasn't a part of any church or Messianic synagogue because they're all corrupt, they're all wrong, that he wanted to get out of Babylon, so to speak, that he wanted to separate himself from them because, God told him to, and that God gave him special revelation and knowledge of, they're wrong and why they're wrong and all the reasons why they're wrong. Instead of trying to be a part of the solution, he separated himself and kind of went and become like this Lone Ranger Messianic rabbi kind of deal. And, like I said, I was just so hungry and desirous and eager for fellowship and for learning and for teaching and for knowledge. I attached myself to this person, and I thought logically, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I get it, God called you out of that. He called me out of Protestant Christianity into Messianic Judaism. So I understand. I get that. I mean, all the while, bells and whistles and red flags were going off and waving everywhere. And I chose to ignore it. I chose to ignore them. Why? Again, because I was so lonely. I was so hungry and desirous for fellowship with like-minded people who kept the Torah, who kept the customs and traditions of the Jewish people, who wanted to walk in the footsteps of Yeshua, our Messiah, by walking and following the Torah. That saw things the way I did, that had similar spiritual experiences and revelations that I had. And I was so hungry and desirous for this. And this person was older. They come from a Jewish background. They, had, some sort of Jewish education. So I thought they knew way more than I did. I thought I could learn so much more from them than anybody else. And there was nobody else around at the time that was willing to teach me, or that I could be accountable to, or that I could put myself under. So I willingly and ignorantly, I might add, put myself under this person's teaching and authority. Not saying that everything they taught was crap, not saying that everything they taught was wrong. I would say probably, 95, 96 to 98% of what they said was right, was true, was correct, was documentable, was researchable, was definable, was right and true. But how is it with lies? Lies is nothing but a bunch of truth baited, just baited with a little bit of lie. It's that little bit of lie that hooks you. It's that little bit of lie that twists you and sets you on the path, So it's a little bit of lies with a lot of truth. And so the truth is how you get baited, and you don't see, it's just like the worm on the hook. When the fish bites the worm, he just sees the worm. He doesn't see the hook. All I saw was all the right stuff, all the things that I wanted to see, all the good and all the correct, all the 98% right stuff. And I didn't see, that small percentage that was underneath that truth. I didn't see the hook. I didn't see the barbed lie that got me right in the jaw. I didn't see that because I didn't want to see it. Because I was so hungry for fellowship and so hungry for learning. I was a sponge and I was absorbing everything that I could. I was learning from this guy. I was also learning from other ministries like First Fruits of Zion and Zola Levitt I don't know. There's other Messianic, well-known Messianic groups that were, had more Protestant Christian leanings. All of these, I was just soaking it up and sucking it in. And then I just felt special because he took me, this guy took me as his disciple, as his student. He adopted me into his family, and he said, I have this secret knowledge and this special revelation that none of the churches have ignored and have chose not to see, and that it's been offered to them, but they didn't take it. And I'm the one who took it. And now I'm going to give it to you. And he gave me authority. He gave me responsibilities. And, so I just I felt special. He was grooming me. So yeah, if you've been in my shoes, don't feel like an idiot. Don't feel stupid, because it happened to me, and it probably happened to you for the same reasons it happened to me, because you were lonely, hungry, thirsty, and you just desired to attach yourself to a group of believers. And this not only happened to me once, this happened to me a couple times throughout my life and throughout my journey. And again, is because I was just so desirous for fellowship that I did see the red flags, the warning symbols, and the signs, and I chose to ignore them. And I was always bewildered why my wife never liked these teachers, why my wife never came to the meetings with me, or she rarely would, why my wife just always kind of had a sour look and was just so silent around these people, and was just always looking with a suspicious eye. I'm like, what's wrong? What's the matter? What's wrong with you? She knew that she couldn't tell me any different, because I was so desperate for fellowship and for approval and acceptance and training, that she kept quiet. But she knew all along. She saw the same red flags that I did, and she's like, I'm staying away. I can't tell you any different, because you want this so bad, but I'm just going to be here for you when the bottom falls out of the box. I'm going to be here when it all comes crashing down. And sure enough, she was there. She never said, I told you so. She never scolded me and told me how stupid or dumb I was for falling for these people. She knew that I was just desperate and hungry for love, fellowship, acceptance. And I was so hungry to learn and eager to learn and wanted to be taught and wanted to put myself under someone's authority and be accountable to somebody, that she knew she had to let me ride this out for myself. That, if these people were truly con men like she knew and believed they were, that eventually they would show their true colors and I would see the light. And that's exactly what happened. So once bitten, twice shy. I don't regret having that experience. I don't regret being duped. I don't regret going through that, because it taught me a lot of valuable life lessons. It taught me to listen to my gut. It taught me to be more in tune when I get that check in my spirit. It taught me not to be so desperate and needy. It taught me to stand on my own 2 feet. It taught me what to look for. And now, because I've gone through this sour, unsavory experience of being duped by religious con men, I, in turn, am able to help other people and steer them clear from the very pitfall that I fell into. So I can keep them from what I went through, so they didn't have to go through the pain and the bad experience of what I went through. I can keep them from that, and they can learn from my mistakes. That's one of the greatest things about mistakes and about sin, is that you can learn from them. You don't have to repeat them. Once you go through it, lesson learned. You know better next time. So, and I can confess this to you without any feeling of embarrassment or shame, because I know I'm not the only one that this has happened to. The more that I am in the Messianic, Netzari, Hebrew roots movement, the more people I run into who've had the same and or similar experiences that I've had. So I'm not the only one. And I've ran into people in Protestant Christianity who have been duped by con men. From the, suit and tie, $1 million home, personal jet kind of con man, to the bottom feeders, quote unquote, salt of the earth, the boy next door, good old boy, con man with special secret religious knowledge that has no formal training or has no, authority over him. He's a lone ranger. So, I can relate to people who have been duped. And I've become stronger because of it. So hopefully, listening to this, maybe if you have been in the same position I have been in, and you've walked in my shoes and you've been duped by religious con men, maybe it makes you feel a little bit better to know somebody else has. and survived and has not been permanently damaged or scarred as a result of it, but is stronger, more wiser as a result of it. So take heart. I do pray that this raw confessional has helped you. That's the only reason why I do these. Because it's not fun confessing my screw ups. But I just hope that they can help somebody else. And if my screw ups can help somebody else, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. If I can keep people from the mistakes I've made, it is so worth it. If they could learn from me, that's awesome. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna exit the booth and close the door on the Raw Confessional for this session. Catch you next time. Love you guys. Shalom and Shavua Tov. Abraham'sDescendants.com. Getting back to the first century in a 21st century way. Thanks for watching. Stay connected by subscribing to our other social media accounts and visiting our website at abrahamsdescendants.com.